Hi everyone, welcome to Apata podcast. I've got a guest with me today. His name is Ntsikelelo. He's an entrepreneur, an author, and a host of CoCa. You will get to know, not Coca-Cola, you will get to know more about CoCa. It's a conversation over coffee. And he's a good friend also. We met somewhere in 2012, 2011, thereabout, where we were students, quote an entrepreneurship student at the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. Thank you very much, Intiki, for joining me today. And how are you doing?
I'm great, Sam. Thank you for having me over.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You shared your story earlier, and for you that is listening, I'm going to upload that on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel, Sam Apata, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see how Ntsikelelo, if I said the name fully, how he shared his entrepreneurship journey, and it is very inspiring, very relatable. You as a young entrepreneur, or even if you are a seasoned entrepreneur, I promise you are going to learn a lot from his story. Making reference to your story,
Yeah.
you grew up in the East Rand in Johannesburg.
Mm-hmm.
For the purpose of those that might not go and watch your story on YouTube,
Yeah.
and for the purpose of listeners for the podcast only, just narrate the experience growing up.
Hey man, I'm a township boy. You know, I'm from Guatemala. It's a township in the East Rand, far East Rand. You know, growing up, I guess it's a typical township story. You know, you grow up exposed to struggles. You know, you have to grow up real quick. I mean, my parents divorced when I was 10, so I'm the first of four. So I had to grow up real quick. You know, learn how to cook, clean, help my mother. You know, if she's out of the house, I'm there. You know, and then for the longest of time, she wasn't working. She wasn't employed. So also, I had to learn how to hustle from a very, very young age. You know, and come up with creative solutions, and also try and be a kid. And I think the only way I could was through sports.
Yeah.
You know, because if I wasn't doing sports, which was also keeping me out of trouble, I mean, it was a very rough neighborhood. You know, I was then trying to make sure that I get that bread that's missing, or you know, do whatever it takes, you know, for us to continue, you know. We would have family support, you know, from time to time, but you know what, you know, people get tired, you know, and but I see it as a blessing.
Okay.
I see it as a blessing because then, like I said, you mature quick.
Absolutely. I mean, I can relate to that because I'm the first one of my family also, and you know, like you said, unfortunately, your parent divorced at that very early age of yours, but you have to grow up very quickly at that very early age. And for me, it's about taking responsibility. As a matter of fact, you know, I mean, I was beaten for everything.
Yeah, man. You know, you're beaten for what the younger siblings do. You know, what they didn't do, they were supposed to do. Yeah, no.
You know, so I have to carry that burden. But you know, you said that experience of you growing up quickly at that very early age, does that contribute to your entrepreneurship? You know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, because I was always doing something. By the time I got to university, I was a basketball player, so I eventually became the chairperson of the basketball club.
Talk about responsibility.
Yeah, you know, because I mean, I was, you know, by that time I wasn't even scared of taking up responsibility, you know. So it used to show in everything, even in high school. You know, if
Mm.
they need somebody to volunteer for something,
Yeah.
you know, I'd be one of those first people. You know, do you want to stand in front of the assembly and do a poem? I'm like, yeah, sure, I want to do that.
Mm.
You know, do you want to perform at a play? Yeah, I want to do that. You know, do you want to? So that was me, and it led me to a point where even at varsity, to this day, I hold the record for the highest sponsorship for any basketball club or university in the country. I mean, we had
Interesting.
Standard Bank over 3 years. I think they pumped in about 800,000 into the basketball program from the proposal.
That year?
No, it was over 3 years. So
Mm.
the first year was about 280,000, second year 320, and then the last year just 200. I don't know, I forgot the last figure, but
That's a lot of money in the early.
this was 2000. So let's say 2004.
Mm.
Sorry, 2004. Yeah, between 2004, 2006, and 7. You know, I think that was the time, and and I was young. You know, I was young. For me to, and I also won like an award. I was the chairperson of the year, so they called it the Student Administrator of the Year award.
Wow.
My club won Club of the Year. One of the basketball players got the Vid Sports Man of the Year. You know, and so we took we also record holders in terms of taking all 3 awards. The first black-run club to take all 3 major awards at the university. You know, at the time. I don't know if it's happened again since.
Yeah.
But you know, so, and all of that happened because I was just a student, but all of that happened because entrepreneurship was already in me.
Yeah.
The initiative, I see an opportunity, I'm going to take it.
Yes.
You know, and there was a lot of opportunity, in the university. I mean, like on average, I think they had.
You always see gaps, basically.
So I always see. My eye is trained to see gaps. You know, so yeah, definitely.
Are you still into basketball?
Yeah, I am. I love this.
Let's take it to NBA. Which is your favorite team?
Lakers
just won.
Lakers just won.
You're not happy with. You're not happy.
No, I am. For the longest of time, I was a Laker fan. But here's the thing about basketball for me. The problem is that I prefer being a fan of players, as opposed to teams, because
What's the difference?
Because players move around. You know.
I see.
Yeah, and now if I'm stuck at a team because I liked it, you know.
The team, and you don't like any of the players.
Yeah, I don't like any of the players anymore, and I don't like the way they play. Now, and they're not
winning championships.
Yeah, and my favorite players moved to another team.
And he's winning there.
Yeah, he's winning, or even if he's not, but
Yeah.
now I'm stuck with this jersey that I don't like
Yeah.
anymore. You know, so I even in soccer, I don't really do like against in South Africa it's a bit different. You know, the teams I think they're given to you at birth. You know, like if if your dad is a Kaizer Chiefs fan, then that's it. You know, you
kind of inherit that.
Yeah, you inherit it. You know, and then you can choose from there. But when I look at sports, I'm not loyal to teams. I'm loyal to what I like about the sport.
I see.
So if there's a player that I would model myself around, so let's say for instance back in my day, it was the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and the Allen Iversons. You know, then I would be a fan of those teams. You know, but once Jordan moved to Wizards and he was no longer at Chicago Bulls, my loyalty to Chicago Bulls also died. And it moved to Wizards
because of your love for Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the reason why we went there is because you mentioned that at the university, you were involved in basketball. Now, when you shared your story, again for listeners that for the purpose of listeners that might not go to the YouTube channel.
In fact, we encourage them to go.
I'm encouraging you to go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and listen to Ntike's story. Very inspiring once again. You mentioned something happened in your university time.
For sure.
That you had to drop out.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience and what actually led to that. And
man, it's a very sad story because that's the reason why I got depressed, you know. Because on one end, here I was doing all these amazing things for the university and running these great programs, and you know, even the sponsor was getting great returns because of the programs that I was running. because there was a value that I had promised the sponsor, and I exceeded, whatever the expectations were, and they themselves, that's why they kept on pumping money back into the program.
Makes sense.
And but on the other hand, I'm like I said, I'm a kid from the township. My teachers were black. I had never dealt with white people, and the first time I deal with white people is at varsity, and now I'm dealing with racism, and now, like, how do I do this? Agreements that we had with the university were being broken. Bursaries that I was supposed to be getting, I wasn't getting. Everything that I wanted to execute was just difficult. For instance, we had different clubs at the university. For instance, there's a ski club in South Africa. There's a ski club at Wits University, and but because it's a white club, they would have privileges that we didn't have, and we had more members. They would be having the cocktail bar would open on a Wednesday, and you on a Friday when you want to really do stuff for the kids,
yes.
You would go through hell, to get approval. I remember this one time we were supposed to go to Mozambique. We had the funds. I had gotten the sponsorship.
Yes.
And last minute, they wanted to. The director was saying, "Nah, you guys got to pay for this." And
that you have to pay for yourself to go to Mozambique.
You got to pay a certain amount, and it's like, but that most of the kids on the basketball club are from previously disadvantaged, spaces,
and you still want to disadvantage them further.
Exactly, and also, didn't I just raise money for this? So that we don't have this conversation, so that we can have the bags and the sneakers and the accommodation and the transport covered, and we focus on playing basketball.
So all those disappointments.
Yeah, it was messing with me. It messed with me. It messed with my studies. And literally, I walked out of varsity because, and I always make a joke that, my efforts made the university almost $1 million, but I walked away because I couldn't afford to be at school. And this is something that it's not even it's not a secret. At the time I was trying to get the dean of students involved, the vice chancellors, but you soon learn that the university is like, it's like a boys club. They take care of each other. You are just a student number. But they are the people that run it. So whether you're gonna be heard or not, it depends on what they want to do. So. And then I learned that there's no such thing really as justice, or fairness, for people of color, in these institutions, regardless of how good you may have been and what you. At a time where I needed help, at a time where I needed guidance, to say, kid, we see your potential, we see what you can do, we see your hustle spirit, let us grow you. Let us mentor you into something great. All I was getting was how can we slow this kid down, and how, in fact, let's just kick him out of the system, and because people can do that by strangling you out of the system.
Yes.
And eventually you walk out, and it's like, we didn't, they can turn around and say, but we didn't say he must leave. But at the end,
systemic oppression.
But it's systemic, you know what I mean? Like I even had a government bursary that was supposed to cover my food and nutritional stuff for gym, know, and I was supposed to get a certain stipend per month. I never saw that even once, you know what I mean? And I'd be on campus trying to hustle, money for food and toiletries, and because I never had money coming from home, In fact, I don't know what an allowance is. I would allow myself to do things, but and I guess that's also part and parcel of why I was very entrepreneurial, because I was like, listen, there's things I can do that can generate. For one of the conversations I had with the director when I submitted the proposal, and I learned a very big lesson there of put everything down on paper. I said to him, listen, there's an opportunity for sponsorship. I'm submitting a proposal, or I've submitted a proposal. I've gotten feedback. It looks like it's being considered. Can I please have an 8%, commission for whatever comes in, so that I can cover myself and whatever I need? And the guy said, oh yeah, no, if it comes through, then we'll definitely talk about it. You know? And I was like, okay, cool, but I didn't put it in the proposal though.
Oh no.
You know, it was a conversation that said, oh look, I submitted a proposal. Because I wasn't sure. I mean, I was a kid, you know. I wasn't sure. I was just trying to do something for the university. There's an opportunity. I'm trying to do something, you know. And so the money comes through. We have a big signing. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm like,
and you're waiting for 8%.
Yeah, and I'm saying, yo, the money's come through. You know, can I have my 8%? And the guy says, no, it's for the university. You did it for the university, man. So you know you're not gonna get it. I'm like, not even like money to cover my fees or something, you know. And I was like, okay, cool. So that was, and I knew from then on, I had the feeling that this is just gonna be downhill from here, because that was the opening. You know, that was
So you had to drop out at what year?
On my third year. But also, it was on my last year. But also, I started dropping courses along the way because also there was no support system. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. That university it's not just for academic reasons. It's actually what I learned being out of class has actually been more beneficial to me in life than everything that I learned in class. Social skills, networking, creating value, being at the right place at the right time, initiative, seeing the gaps, all of that was stuff that was happening on the outside, and not really in the class. So there was no support system that could say, look, for kids like you who are already life ready, and learning how to be life ready, because I know universities would prepare you to be work ready. How do we create help for you? So that you have somebody that you can talk to. At least give me somebody that I can talk to once a week or once every 2 weeks, to check on me. Kid, you're doing the most. You're doing more than what other kids should be doing. Are you okay?
Are you handling it well?
Are you handling it well? What can we do for you? How can we support you? So that we, the university can build stars. But there was no such support system. There was nobody that I could go to and say, listen, I'm stuck. You know what I mean? I'm losing it. And also the people that I was looking up to, because growing up would think just because somebody's older they'll do the right thing. And now I'm experiencing, and you have to respect their call because you think they know what they're doing. But now the person that is older,
those are the people that are disappointing.
Now these are the people that are disappointing me and reminding me in different ways that I'm just a kid from the township.
A black kid.
A black kid from the township, so know your space. And it was a culture shock too. It was a culture shock too, to be like, oh, so this racism thing really is alive.
Wow.
It's really real. So obviously me walking away from university, it was just a matter of, okay, cool, I can't win this anymore. I fought and I fought and I fought and I can't win in the traditional sense. So let me just go fight outside and and hustle my way.
So you went from depression to standing in front of large audience, teaching and helping people, and now at this stage of your life, you are into programs that has to do with minds and reconstruction and reimagining and all of that. Take us through the journey. How did you deal with the depression? How did you get out of it? And then being empowered to be able to then empower others.
Wow, that's a very loaded question. In terms of
because I believe what you are going to share and how you deal with it is going to help somebody that is listening to this and might be probably going to similar situation.
For sure. Look, I mean, the first thing that I needed to learn was because first of all, what I was experiencing was a reflection of what the country was like, and I needed to understand what would drive a person to think that way. So whether they're white, racist, or whether they're black, not confident, or like what drives people to think the way they do. So
permit me to quote you.
Yeah.
There's a saying that the university institution is a microcosm of the society.
Exactly. Yeah.
What you just said now kind of validate that.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah, for sure. So I started, and also why was I feeling the way I was feeling in terms of reacting to what was happening? Because I felt powerless. I felt really, really powerless, and it affected every area of my life. I stopped playing basketball I was a first team basketball player, a starting first team basketball player. I stopped coming to practice. I lost weight. I started smoking weed. You can just it was a downhill. It was because I just didn't know what was going on, and I had nobody to help me. I had nobody to say, yo, look, things are really going bad. Things are going bad, and got into a bad relationship, a terrible relationship. It was when you're in a negative vibration, you just attract more of it, and I didn't even know that at the time. I didn't even understand what that meant, So I spent the last before I left, and I remember I left in June, before I left, I spent the last 2 months at the library, but I wasn't looking for books that related to my studies, because I made up my mind before. I didn't just walk out like a day later. No, I made up my mind that I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of I'm gonna leave the varsity and I'm gonna go outside, but I have to go equipped. What am I going to need, or what might I need
outside of this institution?
So then that's when I started looking at books that had to do with the mind. So I downloaded books on the mind, on reconditioning, on alternative thought, on wealth thinking, wealth consciousness, because I also saw that money was an issue, so I needed to sort out my relationship with money. And I found books that spoke to money, and not in technical terms, but in actually consciousness terms, and so I connecting thinking with money,
wealth.
And wealth, and progressiveness. So I spent my time collecting those books, and fortunately there was a portal that allowed us to download PDFs, before PDFs were a thing, So the university had a portal where you can download PDFs, and I found those books. I took quite a number of them, and I went home. I went home with those books. I started reading those books, and also I for the first time in those books, I kind of saw a solution to my depression. I kind of felt that it's there. The solution is there. I don't know, because I could identify that depression was emotional and psychological. I knew that I was in a hole that I couldn't pull myself out of, and I didn't have the mechanism to pull myself out of, but I was stuck, and these books kind of said, no, you can change your mind, you can
recondition your mind,
you can change your vibrational state, you can. But even though they didn't make sense to me at the time, and I won't lie, I would read these books over and over and over again, and it did not, I could not connect the dots. Like I'd get glimpses of what they were saying, but there's meaning. Meaning is experiential.
Absolutely.
If you haven't experienced it, it doesn't matter how many times you go over the words. It's still gonna be a foreign concept. So, but I knew that I had to keep digging. I had to keep digging, And the more I dug, I slowly also dug myself out of depression, because as you read these books, you practice. Because it's work, it's internal work, And that's when I was introduced to internal work. And then I started connecting the dots, even with, this is how, apartheid worked, because it was conditioning people to think in a certain way so that they can be at a certain place.
Absolutely.
And not be able to take themselves
Oppressing them
Oppressing
in
them.
all ramifications.
Yeah.
Mentally, economically, socially, environmentally, because people have to be separated and say this is where you can live.
Exactly, and creating that virtual and physical limit.
Yes.
For the person.
What we can call lockdown.
The original lockdown. And also I saw how it was also conditioning white people also to think in a certain way. And it's systematic. It's systematic. People can be conditioned to behave think in a certain way, and they won't even know why they do it. They just think that's the way they are, but actually somebody else engineered how they think and their behavior as a society, as a community, So, I remember going back to my director. It was after I published my first book. And
what's the title?
Beyond Democracy.
Beyond Democracy.
Which speaks to the residual effects of apartheid, which speaks to the racism that I experienced from them, But I went there, and because I already knew now how the mind works, and I kind of figured out how he thought. So I went there one day and I said, I'm here to just have a talk with you, to thank you for being hard on me, because your behavior, toughened me up for the streets, and now I'm an author. I've got this book, because obviously, people love praise, So I was using praise as an in, so that he can actually open up and have a conversation with me. And obviously he was happy, he was really, really happy.
He probably thought you would come hurt and hangry and all of that.
And and deep down I was.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
But I
had to present a different story, because I was like, I want to know what...
Pacify, if we may put it like that.
Yeah, and I was curious to be like, how does this man really think? Because all the other times we interacted, it was based on either a project or, but now let me talk to him as a man, one-on-one, and just see how he thinks. And I got it. He doesn't even know he's racist. You know what I mean? He doesn't even understand that he's racist.
This is a grown
man,
white man,
grown white man who doesn't even understand that he's racist. He just thinks that
it's normal.
It's normal. He relates stories of they came from a wartime, and this is what young lads needed to do, and and in his experience, this is how black people behave, and if this is the way you treat black people so that they can get out of that mentality, and so already he was preconditioned in ways that that were discriminatory, but he thought in his mind, this is how the world works, and he was right in everything that he did. He was right, because you gotta be tough on these young men. You gotta be tough on these black kids, because they're taking advantage of things. They're messing up. So for him it was a tough love, but also that was segmented in a way, because it's like these kids don't know how to work in our institutions. These kids, we just allowed them into our institutions, so therefore we need to contain how they move. They can't just run rampant, because they have to have a sense of discipline, So I was like, whoa, geez, I get you. And then, but this is the funny part. The funny part is, so I tell him about the book, right? And I tell
Beyond
him,
Democracy.
Yeah, Beyond Democracy. And I tell him what I want to do, like as a career going forward. That I want to be like like a life coach type of person. I want to help people change the way they think, And he says to me, no, listen to me. I don't think you should do that. Look, try find yourself a career that is that is manageable. I've listened to those guys that do that type of work. They are really amazing. The things they can come up with, the things that they can think. are really incredible. I think that's too much of a listen. He was literally telling me that's too much of a goal to and I'm thinking the book in front of you speaks to that amazing stuff that you say I can't do, and it's already in front of you, but you're so stuck in your ways that you can't even see
the possibility
that I've already done it. You know,
man.
Yeah, that I've already cracked the code. You know, I've cracked the psychological code for the South African, and I'm doing it very well. You know, so and I'm doing talks at schools. I'm helping kids. I'm giving them processes that they can use. You know, to recondition.
To be mentally empowered.
Exactly, and not only just recondition the mind, but also to have vibrational shifts, emotional shifts, so that they can get out of situations like depression and anger and start experiencing more positive emotions.
Wow.
I'm there. And this guy says, look, I don't think you should. You know, and I'm like, I've been spending the last, I think it was about 4 or 5 years after I dropped out when I met him. And I'm like, I just spent years studying and working these processes to get me out of the rut that you put me in, you know. But you can't even see that. The fact that I'm here having a discussion with you, acting like nothing happened, you know, it literally, I was laughing inside. And I felt pity. I felt pity for him. You know, I felt pity. I was like, you already know in your mind, or you think you know the limits of a black person or a black mind, that you can't even foresee a beautiful future. For him, you don't see a reimagined South Africa where black people are actually thriving. In your mind, there's no capacity for that.
Absolutely unfortunate.
In fact, before I dropped out, one of the reasons why I dropped out, I went up to him and I said, listen, I'm struggling, I need to pay fees. And I need you guys to make me a plan. I mean, come on.
Yes.
And he said to me, no, if you're struggling to pay fees, go get a job.
Wow.
And I said, okay, cool.
Wow.
And I think that's the point where I made the decision that I'm leaving. That's when, because I'm a very persistent person, you know.
It shows.
Yeah, but when he said that, I was like, I'm leaving this place. I'm you know, I was like, I'm out.
Because there was no help.
No, there was no help.
There was no help.
After all of that,
yes.
After everything that I did,
yes.
after all the money that the university benefited from me, when I needed help, I was told to go get a job, you know, and I was like, yeah, racism is real, man.
So you moved from your first book, Beyond Democracy.
Right.
You wrote the second one, correct me if I'm wrong, Thinking Ghetto Genius.
For sure.
And after Thinking Ghetto Genius, you wrote Thinking Ghetto Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Take us through that, you know, young author journey.
Look, here's the thing, right? Like I said in the previous interview or the story, I'm a social entrepreneur. I respond to social ills, you know. And for me, it was, okay, cool. So if I can't get South Africa to pay attention to the fact that we need to go beyond democracy, we need to start thinking about how to fix the residual effects of apartheid. If that's not a priority for us, then let me just scale it down and narrow it and focus it to a particular client, which is my hood.
Yes.
You know, where
individuals, which you can relate to their stories because you came from there.
Yeah, and also for me it was, I spent 5 years trying to figure this out, you know. How do I simplify it so that the kid in the hood doesn't have to go through all the books that I went through and all the experiences that I went through to be able to get it. So it was taking all these complex concepts, and because now I understood them experientially,
yes,
and narrow and simplifying them so that a high school kid, I mean, my books are very easy to read, but powerful at the same time, you know, and that's by purpose, you know. You flow easily with it, so you don't have to be busy referring to. I mean, one of the things that you understand, English is a second language for a black child. Yeah. So now, if you use like really complex,
they call it
bombastic words, you know, like academic academic language, which is
Yes.
funny because when I started writing, I still had that academic flair, you know. But as I refined my writing, I found simplicity to work much better. I found a beautiful voice to express the things that I wanted, and that was an achievement for me because I wanted the reader who's even at high school to
be able
open
to
up
relate.
and relate, and also, but it's so powerful that even a grown up, an adult, can read it and still find the book really amazing, you know. So and be able to assimilate it. So yeah, so I wrote Thinking Ghetto Genius and started the Ghetto Geniuses project. So that was me going into schools, doing talks, talking to matriculants, trying to get them early in the year, prepping them for, you know, to
Working on their minds.
to adjust their belief systems, and you know, because I was hoping. Look, when I started the project, I was hoping that it would be something that I'd partner with the Department of Education with, you know. But I soon discovered that even the textbook game and the curriculum game is also another totally different monster. It's you know, it's got its own politics. It's got, you know, so what they have is life orientation now. But you know, life orientation is just, I don't know, man. It's just, yo, let's try to do something. But the problems we have, like I said, apartheid was intentional in creating situations that made people this way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the new democratic dispensation is not intentional about changing the mindset of the black child. In fact, you know, we're still struggling from the residual effects. There's no intentional effort to say, listen, now we're working on the mind. You know, it's almost like we are free. You are free to do whatever you want, and whatever works for you works for you. You know, and I'm like, but the previous guys were not like that. They were very intentional. So how about we become intentional about fixing the problems? You know. But anyway,
and the problem, you know, the roots, as it were, is the mind.
It's the mind. Yeah, it's the mind. You know. So so having done these talks and these workshops, it got to a point where I was like, okay, cool. In my studies, I did a lot of work in terms of entrepreneurial thinking. I studied the Napoleon Hills, a lot of authors, you know, that wrote about, you know, how to recondition the mind for money, for entrepreneurship. You know, so then it was, okay, cool. So now if I show this kid how to recondition their mind, a systematic way to recondition their mind, they're still hungry though. You know, there's still high unemployment. So why don't I also show them how to turn their problems into profit? You know, so then
so entrepreneurship became the vehicle.
It became a vehicle. So then I wrote a book on entrepreneurial thinking. You know, I don't think you can turn somebody into an entrepreneur, like I said earlier on, but you can teach somebody how to think entrepreneurially. Yeah. You know, innovatively. So, and that's what the book was about. You know, to help then say, okay, cool. Now you believe in yourself. This is what you can do to go out there and change your situation and environment, and understand what entrepreneurship really is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you were doing the workshop for free.
So the model was, so companies have CSIs, right?
Yes.
They'll have interests maybe in science or maths, you know, and they'll probably run a program, a math program or a science program or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
My story would be, okay, cool. You know, for a fee, I can come and work on your kids and on this element of the program.
Yes.
You know, introduce rather this element to the program.
Yes.
Or listen, I've got 100 kids from these 5 different schools, and we're going to meet at this one venue. What I would like you to do is sponsor the food and buy them books and the workbooks. Yeah. You know, pay for the workbooks, pay for the books, pay for the food, and a little bit of my time. You know, so that was the model. But it wasn't. In some cases it was received. Yeah. But in a lot of cases it wasn't. And I soon realized that it's corporates at the time, and I still think corporate. You know, the funny thing about corporates is that they love making money out of black people in the township, but they don't really want to associate themselves with it. You know, so if you've got a product that is titled thinking ghetto genius.
Mm.
You know, that ghetto
Yes.
is something that they don't want to put their hands on. You know, it's you know, like they're not gonna say it, but you know, they
It's
don't
showing how they
they're
react
showing how they
and some of the
react
things
and,
they do.
and the lack of support, you know, because it's only once they read the book when they're like, oh my god, the content is amazing, you know. But if they don't read the book and they just see
The word ghetto.
the word ghetto, then it's like, you know, I'm sure there's other projects, there's nicer projects that we can invest in, you know. So I learned that, and also, you know, social entrepreneurship I remember a friend of mine, and I was like, listen, I'm running this project and I'm raising funds so that I could, you know, affect more kids, you know, and the book is a vehicle. And he was like, and so the money for the book, I'm like, no, but I'm also a publisher. So the publisher has to get paid for the book.
Yes.
And he had a problem with the fact that I'm going to get paid. You know, like, he's like, but no, that doesn't sound right. I'm like, but which part doesn't sound
This
right?
is your body of work.
It's
you
my
know,
body of work.
You're supposed to be paid for it.
Exactly, you know, but he had a problem with that. I remember having this conversation, and he was like, and I was like, yo man, listen, you are at CSI there, let's do this. And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I was like, wow. So I can't be entrepreneurial and giving at the same time. I'm like, and I'm like, then you don't, in my mind, I was like, then you don't understand social entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, it was very foreign.
Yeah, because the entrepreneurial part of social entrepreneurship is real.
Yeah.
It's real. You know, you have to make money out of what you're doing. Otherwise, how do you carry on doing the good work?
Exactly.
So people still hold views that when you're giving back,
it must be CSI.
Yeah, CSI. You take that money, you leave it all there, you know. But or you buy shoes, but they're forgetting that somebody's getting paid for those shoes.
Absolutely.
You know, even if you're delivering food, somebody's getting paid for those groceries. So why can't I, as a publisher, get paid for the material that the empowering material that I'm going to leave with the kids, you know? But anyway, that's just, you know, it's just some of the things that you deal with, and you know, that's why you find different models of, and also that's also one of the things that made me create products for corporates. Then it's like, okay, cool, because corporates is pretty clear. You've got a people problem, come hire me. Let me work on your people, because it's easy. If you don't work on your people, it's going to affect your bottom line.
Absolutely.
You know, so
absolutely. So you said this statement: entrepreneurs are very important in terrible economic conditions.
Oh, for sure.
Explain what that means.
That's when. In fact, that's when entrepreneurs are born. You know what I mean? When the economic conditions are at their worst, that's when, because the employees get fired, they lose their jobs, and then they get into depression, and then they, you know, whatever, they wallow in, you know, most of the time they get into drinking habits or whatever. You know, they go through what I went through when I left school. And but the hunger makes you think. That starvation, you know, you start thinking, wait a minute, I can't keep going. There's no jobs, so what am I going to do? You know. So so that's normally when people start the journey of entrepreneurship. But then the entrepreneurs themselves, the ones that have been in it, that's when they start finding opportunity, because they are used to difficult economic conditions. They're used to working without capital. They're used to working with limited resources. So if the economic conditions are saying we have limited resources, they're like, well, welcome to my world. And also it's a matter of, okay, so here's an opportunity for me to come up with different models and different things, because the old ways are not working. It's a new normal. So how do I then take advantage of the new normal so that I can start generating cash?
Absolutely.
So and in that way they create new ecosystems, they create new products, they create, you know, and then a new thriving way of living, you know. So right now the president said entrepreneurship is the only solution to
it has to be the only solution, especially creating a lot of small businesses. You would know that you know, big businesses are automating, you know, they are now integrating a lot of digital technology, you know, to be able to automate their processes and all of that. And the negative impact of that, you know, is that people are going to be laid off, and it's happening already, you know. one of the big banks last year. I think they laid off 1,000 or 2,000.
Closing branches down.
Yeah. So again, the big corporates can't hire enough.
Yeah.
So the small businesses are those ones that have the capacity, to be able to hire people.
Yeah.
And also with the help of technology coming into the market.
Yeah.
But you said so. Let's go to your book.
Right.
The latest one,
But also, I just want to add something to that point.
Yes.
Like entrepreneurship really isn't a solution in terms of employment or hiring people. Entrepreneurship is just a way of living that keeps the economy stimulated. You don't actually have to hire people. You don't have to be in a small business, but you can live your life in a way that allows you to turn whatever's around you into money. By whether you're creating something, a product, even as small as fed cakes. But whatever you're doing, your efforts, your initiative are giving you money, keeps money flowing into your life, which takes you to the next stage or takes you to the next hustle. So, and that's the importance of entrepreneurship at its smallest level.
I get you.
And if people think entrepreneurially, then the ecosystem, for instance, the township ecosystem, then starts working on its own, because everybody's servicing everybody.
Yes.
And
the money is rotating.
The money is rotating within. And they don't even have to have, like official businesses. They don't even have to have registered businesses. They just have to have the thinking that allows them to keep doing things that will keep the money rotating.
Interesting.
So it's really about the thinking.
It's about the entrepreneurial thinking. And talk about entrepreneurial thinking. You wrote in the book, Reimagining Myself.
Yeah.
Go and get the book. I will leave the details of the author, Ntsikelelo, Mzibomvu. I'm going to leave his details then and where you can get the book. You wrote in the book in part 2 of it, which is about entrepreneurial thinking, that anyone can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How true is that?
Look, it's simple, my man. I start with that quote, I think, therefore I am. I think I'm an entrepreneur, therefore I am an entrepreneur. Here's the thing, right? Whatever people tell themselves that they can or cannot do is what
they
happens.
can and cannot do it.
Yeah, that's,
if you say you can, I can.
Then you do it.
If you say you can't, you can't.
Then you can't. So you have to think. So anyone can be an entrepreneur. And really, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is providing value either in terms of a good or a service in return for money.
Yeah.
For currency. Or for another service.
Profit.
Yeah, or for another service. That might benefit you, because entrepreneurship is also about exchange of services. If I'm a, if I need to publish a book,
yeah,
and I need an editor and I can't afford an editor, I could offer an editor other services that in return for that service I still get what I want. And that is entrepreneurial thinking. As opposed to just using money as a currency only. The barter system never died. You just need to know how to use it. So I mean, for instance, when we talk about sponsorships is just saying to people, listen, I will barter this value of my brand, for maybe, let's say, airtime on the radio, or whatever the case may be. A lot of they will put a rand value to it, but no money actually exchanged hands.
True.
So you'll get 200,000 worth of airtime, but all you did was exchange value. So it's understanding that entrepreneurship is the art of creating and exchanging value. For some form of currency, whether it's money or service or whatever other form of currency.
No, thank you very much, and that is very interesting. One of the things that I also picked up in the book is, which is very, and it's going to connect to what you just finished saying right now, that you advise in the book that the following are the areas I would recommend spending your time on when growing your business.
Yeah.
And not just when growing your business, when starting also, because the context that you wrote it talk about starting.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the key points or the sub-headings. You said you wrote spend your time on research, spend time on personal development, and last but not the least, spend time on selling.
Yeah.
Why not spend time on funding or looking for funding? Why was that not? Why was that not the first point? And the reason why I'm going there, and the reason why I'm going there is because a young individual, either from township or not,
for sure,
the mentality. I mean, talk about mind, and you work on mind, on the mind rather. The mentality is, I register a business, I'm gonna go and look for funding.
Yeah,
and that is the beginning of frustrations for a lot of young entrepreneurs.
Or rather,
or budding or idealists.
Yeah, idealists. Yeah.
As it were.
Look, I don't do funding.
So you said research, personal development, and selling.
Yeah.
Take us through those three key elements.
Okay, cool. So research, first of all, I think it also leads to proof of concept, right? But it's about understanding your environment. Once you understand your environment, you'll see what you can move around to get what you want. You can see what you could create. So, for instance, if you have an understanding of the environment, let's say, for instance, I don't know, maybe you're in events, right? So you understand the environment, you understand who's got the sound, you understand who's got the furniture, you understand who's got the who are the DJs, you understand
even the space,
and you understand where the people are going, what the people are looking for, in terms of a sound or music, or you've done your research, this thing, you've spent enough time experientially. In fact, you can even call the next move that's going to be the next hottest party, or that's going to be the next hottest DJ, or because now you have a full understanding of this. Now with that understanding, you can start combining these elements that are lying separately to create value, and you can bring all these people as shareholders in this thing. So you don't have money, you don't have sound, you don't have a venue, you don't have DJs, you don't have all of this, but now you understand how they all think and work, and now you know how to pair them.
Yes.
So now you can easily say, sound guy, I'm partnering with this DJ, and I'm partnering with this venue, and I'm partnering.
So your research is connecting value.
It's connecting the value now and the dots, and now you have the event, and the people are coming because you've got all the right things at the right place at the right time. And
you didn't have the money, but you had the resources the knowledge through research, and you are able to connect the value.
Exactly.
And if you had used, I don't have money,
then you're gonna stay.
You're
gonna stay not having money. You're gonna stay not having funding.
This is interesting. It's mind blowing.
It's just the truth. It's entrepreneurship, it's what it's supposed to be, and personal development speaks to people then, because now if you want people to buy into your idea, right? You want people to help you out, to help you execute this idea. They're gonna have a look at your character. They're gonna be like, this guy, he's not bringing money, but can I trust this guy? Can I go into business with this guy? And if you are shaky, if you cheat people, if you have a bad reputation, you're not gonna get the buy-in. The guy's not gonna give you the speakers. The DJ is not gonna show up to your event. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work out, because you as a person, the energy that you carry, the character that you have, is not gonna allow the dots to connect. So personal development is very important, because now you're getting people to buy into you.
Yeah.
So you're selling yourself now, In fact, it leads to the last part, selling.
Yes.
But because you're going to sell the first product. The first product.
You are the first product.
You're the first product. And if this product is not refined, if this product doesn't go through a self-development process, then people are going to look at you funny when you walk in, and people can feel vibes.
Absolutely.
They can feel that this one is not trustworthy.
Yeah.
Or
there's no confidence here.
We
can't trust him with our resources
or money or whatever. Whoa, let's slow down. Guy, go work on yourself. You know?
I can relate to that.
And even works in relationships, you know what I mean? Like that girl that you really like, that is really like, that has worked on herself, and she's a high quality woman. She's not looking at you for your money. She wants to see, are you the type of guy that can handle this and handle himself?
She's looking for content,
she's
character.
She's looking for character, you know. So you know, money and women, business and women are very similar in that sense. You know, you want high quality stuff, you need to work on yourself. You need to be a high quality person. You want to play in the big stakes with the big dogs. And I'm not talking about big stakes in terms of like tenderpreneurship, because that's...
We're not going to go there.
Yeah, no.
We're not going to go there.
No, actually, I feel that tenderpreneurship is just... it steals away from entrepreneurship. It's a thief. It's a thief, because all you got to do is put on paper all the right things, and you get the deal.
Don't let us go there.
Yeah, so, and I'm like, but come on, man, really? So, and also...
So you're connecting energy and all of that, and it's written in your book also, the law of attraction.
But before we jump to that, I wanna talk about now the selling part.
Yes.
You know, because entrepreneurship at the end of the day is about selling. You know, I know a lot of people love marketing. Marketing is just being lazy. You know, I mean, marketing happens automatically when you sell, but at the end of the day, you need to make money. You know, you need to close a sale.
You have to convert.
You have to convert. You know, you have to convert. Now, you've done your personal development. You are confident. You are confident in approaching people. Now, you need to make sure that you practice consistently the habit of giving your value for money. You know. And even, you know, and sometimes it might mean that you might give your value for free so that it can lead to a sale. You know, but you must always be doing something to sell. And selling is really not selling. I think, you know, these selling textbooks have really overcomplicated it. You know, selling is just making sure that the person that needs what you want knows that they need it, first of all, because sometimes they don't know that they need it. So it's just making them realize that, listen, you know, this could do well for you, and I think it's worth your money. And you know, and also just letting them know that even if you can't take it now, you can come back later and take it. You know, so in essence, it's creating the need for them so that they, you know, but you know that the need was there, they just didn't realize it. You know, so it's just showing them that this is the need, you know, and it's worth this amount of money. You know. So selling is important. You know, get out of the house.
Yes.
Go talk to somebody. You know, go try. You know, don't worry about the nose. It's
Steve Blank, sorry for cutting in. Steve Blank is a great facilitator of business model canvas.
Okay.
And the way he will put it, what he just said, is like, get out of the building and go and validate your business model.
Exactly.
You know, you said there are 1,000 people out there that can buy this product. Go out there and find them.
Go find them.
Yes.
And get feedback.
Yes.
And get feedback, because, you know, I mean, for me, I mean, I've been doing this writing and publishing thing for 10 years now. So my product now gets great feedback, but that wasn't the same with the first book. But for that to happen, I had to take the first book out.
Yes.
And then they had to tell me, brah, listen, this book needs a lot of help. You know, and then take it back and then take out the next book. You know, or fix that book and put it back out there. No, this book is not worthy of the market. Okay, cool, take that back. The third book, oh yeah, no, this book is good. Actually, it's better. It's way better than everything you've done. Okay, cool, now I'm in the game. Okay, now I can start. You know, so...
But that's where some so-called entrepreneur give up.
Yeah.
But they take something to the market, and people give them feedback, or people don't like it for whatsoever reasons. And, you know, instead of the entrepreneur taking in the feedback and working on the product and refining it and making it better and all of that, that's where some give up.
Because they haven't done the step 2 part,
which is personal development.
Exactly.
It's connecting.
You know what I mean? It's connecting, you know? So without the personal development,
you're not grounded.
So you can't take a no comfortably.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's feedback. There's nothing wrong. Okay, somebody give you honest feedback, thank them. You know, go back and be like, okay, I'll fix it. It might hurt.
Yes.
You know, I mean, feelings are feelings, you know, But if you've got personal development, then you know that this is your product. It's not you. You know, the product was criticized.
Yes.
Not you. You weren't criticized. It's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection of your work. So go work on your work.
Yes.
You know, and work on yourself in the process to make sure that the work.
Yeah, that you're producing.
Because the product is a reflection of who you are.
It's true.
You know, so the more you work on yourself, then the better the product becomes. So you can't skip personal development as an entrepreneur. In fact, self-actualization is most visible in entrepreneurship because you have to take an idea from concept to manifestation.
That's true.
And that's making something out of nothing. And that's what entrepreneurs do. We think it in our minds and then we deliver it into people's hands as a solution to their problems, or value. Wow.
As we round off, I would like us to touch on something that is very critical, and I believe it's going to speak to some of the things we've touched on, which is repetitive exposure.
For sure.
And the angle at which you explained this concept is what we see impact us.
Yeah.
What we hear, the information we consume, and it validates the reason why you said when you shared your story. Again, go to my YouTube channel, Sam Apata. Search for Sam Apata on YouTube and subscribe to my channel and watch Ntike's story, My Entrepreneurship Journey. He said you don't watch news.
Yeah, no.
And so again, to connect it to the concept repetitive exposure, it is important what we watch and to be careful of them because they build who we are.
Exactly.
Consciously or unconsciously.
Definitely.
And you make reference to a product, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
That, they advertise and show their brand on anywhere
every
anything and everywhere.
Yeah. So to the point where you think you love Coca-Cola, but did you really have a choice?
Because that's all.
Yeah, that's all you ever see. You know what I mean? You don't have like.
And you know what? I'm not sure if it's common here in South Africa, but in Nigeria where I grew up, when you send a kid to go and buy we call it soft drink. It's called cold drink here.
Yeah.
The elder would say, or whoever would say, go and buy me Coke.
Yeah.
And what the person actually wanted is probably Fanta or Sprite.
Yeah, no, it happens. It happens here in South Africa.
Okay.
Like, I mean, when we were growing up, literally they would say, "Go get me a Coke, get Fanta."
Imagine.
Yeah, go get me a Coke, because Coke has replaced soft drink.
So take us through that concept.
The concept,
repetitive exposure.
Yeah. So the concept, as you said, the principle is that everything that we expose to. Whether externally or internally, whether internally meaning an internal dialogue, whatever you tell yourself over and over again, whatever you told by others over and over again, the environment that you're exposed to over and over again, it shapes who you are. It's the principle of repetition. So that exposure. So whether you watching, if you're going to be watching MTV, you want to dress like an MTV, the MTV stars, because that's what you're constantly exposed to, If you live in religion, we don't choose religions. We born into a family that follows a certain religion, and with repetitive exposure, we also follow that religion, because that's all we know. We go to church over and over again, It's not like you sitting there and somebody's asking you, so what religion would you like to follow, Nana? And so you just exposed to it over and over again. Music, how we fall in love. Sometimes you just don't like a song, but because radio just keeps playing it over and over again, now it becomes your favorite song, and
unconsciously you find yourself singing it.
Yeah, you find yourself exactly, humming that tune, So and that repetitive exposure build our belief systems. Eventually they become belief systems. So whether you're in a township where you're surrounded by crime, at first you might feel that the crime is bad, but if you keep exposing yourself to it, you get accustomed to it, and it becomes okay. You might be in an environment, if you're white, that is racist. At first it might feel wrong, but eventually you start accepting it, and you start seeing, so whatever we keep seeing, whatever we normalize, and if it's low expectations, that's what happens, so it becomes a consciousness, it becomes a frequency that we vibrate at, that we operate at, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, so that dialogue becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, which also goes to that anyone can be an entrepreneur, because whatever dialogue they have in their minds, it will either tell them that you can be an entrepreneur, you can think entrepreneurial, or not, so I start the book with that principle. Obviously I go much deeper into it so that people can understand, and then I use the very same principle as a solution out. So the way you conditioned is the very way that you recondition your mind, because now you're taking the control over the conditioning. So as a child, you don't have control over what your conditioning is like, because your mother, your society, your immediate family, is what's conditioning you. Your ABCs, what you think, how you dress, and
you made the example also to the times table, the multiplication table.
Exactly.
And when I was doing my research preparing for this interview, when I read that part about the multiplication table, immediately. Yeah, I just remembered how we used to chorus the multiplication table. 2 times 2.
Exactly. 4.
2 times 1, 2. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3, 6.
That was heavy conditioning, and we can still do it even today because of that. It was a heavy. It's that repetitive process, and I also speak to the fact that there's that saying that says practice makes perfect, and I'm like, nah, practice makes permanent, because if you're practicing something the wrong way, you're just gonna be very good at doing
the
wrong
thing.
So that's how powerful the power of repetitive exposure is. Like it cements those habits. So now you can start new habits. You can start creating new habits, new ways of thinking, new ways of vibrating, and then repetitively get used to them until they become your new vibrational set point, and then now that's what we call transformation, because that means now you are a new person. You're no longer vibrating as that other person, you're no longer thinking as that other person, you're no longer doing things as that other person. You've actually, in fact, you can't even attract the very same thoughts that the other person that you were
you start repelling those.
You start repelling those, and you start attracting new things that you have decided that you want. And that becomes the process of personal transformation.
This is powerful.
Hey man, people must just buy the book, man. I think the president.
And that is.
I think the president must get the book. Yeah.
And that is reimagining yourself.
Reimagining myself, yeah. And you'll see the cover. It's written 3 times, because just when you think you're done, you're gonna find another reason to reimagine yourself, and you're gonna find another reason. So it's like you just keep ascending and becoming the better version of yourself. And then when you get to the top, it's like, you can still go higher.
Yes.
You get to the top, you can still go higher, because we are infinite beings.
Absolutely. There's always more.
There's always more. There will always be more. We are creative beings. We create our realities. So there will always be more. There's always a better version of you waiting for you to catch up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brother.
My brother.
We can talk about this and
all
talk,
day. Yeah. I know. That's why I want companies to hire me, so I can spend a whole day with them.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. This has been a very empowering conversation, and I believe and I confidently know that the listeners also are going to derive value from this conversation. Thank you very much for coming. And before you go, where can people find you and also your book?
Yeah, so I'm available on all social media. Okay, the major ones. I'm not on TikTok. So I'm on Instagram as Ntsikelelo _Yomzi. But just Google my name. I think it will also show, if you Google Ntsikelelo Mzibomvu, it will show you I'm on Facebook. I've got a page on Facebook. I've got a personal page, but I've also got a business page by the same name, Ntsikelelo Mzibomvu. I'm on Twitter, Ntsikelelo _Mz. And that's it. And then in terms of getting the book, you can message me on any of those platforms. I post the book. The book is 200 Rand. But for post office, fast services, counter to counter, you add a 50 Rand there. But for door to door, you add 100 Rand, so it's 300 Rand for that service.
Okay.
Right. And the nice thing about buying from me is that I get to sign the copy for you.
Interesting.
So which you'd never get that from a bookstore, So
that's true.
So that's So definitely, the books keep me going. So I appreciate the support, but also it's a powerful book. So nobody's losing anything. So it's a win-win of creative value.
No, that definitely. One thing that we didn't touch on because of time, which we can quickly do so, is the relevance of this book, considering what we've gone through in 2020.
Definitely.
Because the coronavirus outbreak did not just affect people in their health, but also because of the lockdown measures for that long period of time, it affected people also mentally and psychologically. So this book is definitely going to help a lot of people that might be dealing with such
it's for the time
post-COVID. And you mentioned to me off this conversation that people are already giving you feedback. People that are reading this book at this time, they're already giving you feedback, and some even think you're a prophet.
Actually, I mean, look, the guy said, listen, this book is prophetic. Like, it's almost like you knew that there was going to be a time like this, and I understand where he's coming from, but in my view, it's like, nah, we have had to deal with this for the longest of time, and like I said, I mean, I've been talking about this forever, and it's only now that people have been hard hit enough to listen, or people have had an opportunity to stop and listen
and focus on self
and focus on themselves, and think and reflect, and now they're like, whoa, actually maybe what that guy's been saying, maybe that guy's got something to say, So definitely it's a book for the times, it's a book that applies to everybody in South Africa. It's not just a black person's book or whatever. No, even white people can benefit from this. And because it's about helping ourselves. If we're gonna really reimagine a better South Africa, in fact, I think we spoke about this earlier, that the funny thing about people trying to change the country, the government saying that we're doing things to change the country, is like, it's almost like the country is this concept, is this this thing that they do, but actually the country is the people. It's the individuals that make up the country.
Absolutely.
So if the people are not changing, if we're not investing in the people, then what country?
What we call a country is not going to change.
Yeah, what are you changing?
That's true.
You can't change systems and leave the people, because people make up the systems.
That's true.
So
don't let us start another conversation.
Sure, I got a lot to say.
Thank you so much. Definitely, we'll book another time so that we can go into some other things that we couldn't. Congratulations on your new format of CoCa.
Of CoCa, definitely.
Thank you very much for coming once again, and all the best for the rest of 2020.
I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for having me over, man. All love, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. My name is Sam Apata. Please subscribe, share the content with others so that you can help them. There's a lot of concept that was discussed, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.